Yes, we do have a live guest here on the show today, a returning guest, friend of the show. It's always cringe saying that, but I'm going to call him a friend of the show. He is Weapon X, Matt Mikowski, who is now under a bit of a rebrand. Matt, hey, can you see us and hear us okay?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Good to see you, man. How you been?
Great. How are you guys?
Oh, doing awesome. Thank you for joining the show. I'm going to put a tweet up that you're on here. Matt, before we get into anything, I know that you're going through a bit of a rebrand right now. Please tell us all about this.
Well, I would just kind of call it like a maybe a new coat of paint. You know, it's just I mean, I'll give you the full story, I guess. I mean, this kind of gimmick is always what I wanted to do. You know, I didn't necessarily want to go by my real name. That was kind of thrown onto me by, basically Quackenbush. That was kind of just what we rolled with, and we never even really talked. I don't even know how to explain it, but the joke is between me and my wife was that I was going to be a seahorse, and like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Chikara. Steven, you're looking at me like you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Oh, no. I'm very familiar with Chikara.
Yeah.
Like, I know the gimmicks and the ants and all that. So, yeah, I got you.
So I was going to be, but just between me and my wife, I was going to be a seahorse because you don't really, at Chikara, you didn't really pick your gimmicks. Mike, he found a role for you, and then that's kind of what it was. And so I just think it's funny that I don't know. And then I don't know, a couple of months ago, I was just messing around and I knew I wanted to do just change something a little bit or whatever. And I was like, I don't know, I might have even been watching a documentary about the ocean or something. And I'm just like, man, it's right there. Like, I'm just going to go with it. I know. So it's, we'll call it a soft rebrand. I mean, not much is changing. I should have some new gear coming in soon, that kind of thing. Still Weapon X, still King of the Cross Armbreaker, you know. Just maybe a little more of an edge here and there every now and then. We'll see. That's basically the story behind that. I guess I always just kind of felt weird going by my full like Polish last name.
Sure. Well, it's always funny. Well, I shouldn't say funny, but it's interesting because you're one of the few guys that, like, if you like Googled your full name, you have like a Sure Dog and you have like your MMA career and like you find a whole bunch of stuff, not just wrestling related. So
I feel, and I've thought about that, like, in terms of whatever. I mean, I honestly don't think it's going to be that much harder to find with this. Again, especially since it literally is the first four letters of my actual name. Like, I don't know. It just kind of works, and it might help me relax a little bit and just kind of be kind of maybe get more into, I don't know, like more of a character, if you will. I don't know. I've always had there's always just been this weird aura about me working under my own name, and then I have to like be a real asshole to people or whatever. Like, I know it's a weird thing to talk about, but like, I'm open to talk about it. I don't know, just something where I couldn't like kayfabe myself. It's hard to explain.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
No, I mean that makes sense though, because I mean, wrestlers, I don't feel like we're peeling back the curtain here too much, but a lot of it's character work, right? Like, they're referencing it on TV all the time. Swerve Strickland literally just said you're playing John Moxley on television, like, because this John Moxley is a different version than the John Moxley that years ago was taking over and running AEW. The Rock tweets all the time, the final boss is just a character, everybody. So yeah, it feels like if you're using your real name, you almost have to be that MMA fighter type person, where if you shorten it, you can kind of play around with it a little bit more. Am I off base here?
No, I think you're spot on. I mean, and that's kind of where I'm going a little bit, is like, I'm ready to just blow the whole roof off of I guess kayfabe and stuff, and almost like just make this crazy mix where you don't, people, because now it's like, obviously people know everything, or especially the hardcores are like, they know everything that's going on, or they at least think they do. And so like, I'm ready to just talk about it and like just be this mix of like, you know, the like Steve Austin meme where he's like, is he working or shooting, brother? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just want it to be that at all times. Like you don't know, because the part of the great thing about wrestling, at least from maybe when we were watching it in our youth, was like we kind of thought it was real or whatever. You know, it's just like it made it fun, and it still can be very fun at the way it is now. But like you were just referencing, a lot of the promos and the content that you know, high level wrestlers are putting out is like kind of shrouded in this like not kayfabe, non-kayfabe thing. And it's, they talk about whatever, like from a couple years ago where Jericho was talking about like insider terms or whatever. Like there was a promo where he was talking about that. And it's basically, so it's all just kind of like, you've been hearing kayfabe is dead for years now, or I don't know how long, but I don't necessarily like agree with that per se, but it's almost a way to like just make it, I don't know, just kind of make it confusing for people where they're not sure what's happening, basically.
I love that. Sorry, go ahead, Jeremy. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I was gonna say, I feel like what would help work a lot of people is if you could grow your hair and your beard out like you had in this video, where from early spring 2020, like was this your real hair and everything in early spring 2020?
So that is from a series of videos I made. There was about 6 videos I put out on Twitter, my social media, that I called the Comeback Series, it chronicled my recovery from my ACL surgery. And basically this has happened before, where Hollow Wicked has visited me in my mind. And he basically at that time 2 years ago gave me a little pep talk and told me to kind of snap out of it. I was going through a lot of stuff, living down in a tree house, a lot of anxiety about what I wanted to do coming back to wrestling. I don't know, maybe I could shoot you guys the links. I need to put them on YouTube and stuff, but yeah, that was like a little mini movie I made that I split up into a bunch of chunks and released leading up to my return in the summer of 2023.
I can't remember when we had you on last, but
maybe that one of the Bloodsports? It might have been two, 3. I don't know, 2. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I can't remember how long we've done this. The reason I'm asking is because I was going to ask how the recovery went, because I don't know if we've actually talked on here since you returned.
Actually, I think, Jeremy, I remember we chatted. I know I was on that quick thing after the Bloodsport with Charlie Dempsey, but then I was on before that. I think around the time like I was coming back to wrestle, maybe like Calvin Tankman at Black Label or something, or I can't remember.
Yeah, you were on In the Weeds, the morning show that I do. You were on there shortly after WrestleMania weekend. Yeah, you did the quick flyby after the Dempsey thing, which we really appreciate, and then you were on for a longer sit down interview like a couple weeks after.
Oh, that might have been it. Yeah.
Gotcha. I just wanted to know just kind of how the process was, and the kind of just getting back, like the actual recovery, and then the feeling of getting back in the mix and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I feel great now. It doesn't bother me at all. I wrestled with a knee brace on for about 5 months, maybe, just almost mental. From what I've been told, like bracing doesn't actually do a whole lot, and then eventually over the long term can be detrimental because your muscles and your ligaments get used to the brace supporting the joint, whereas opposed to your body needs to be able to do that on its own. So eventually I shed the brace. It was around New Year's Eve. I remember the exact match. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it back here. And again, more of a mental thing, just to kind of a hurdle to get over. I mean, I took so Jeremy, when I tore my ACL in the spring of 2022, I did not cut my hair.
Okay, so that was kind of what I was getting at earlier. It was like that was really from that time period, and you had because ever since I've known you, you've always had short hair, shaved head, and short beard. And then I see this photo or video, and I'm like, Wait, is this a wig? Did you glue
no.
things on? I was very confused.
Yeah,
about.
no. So it was a tweet that was pinned on my on my Twitter for a while. It was the final, like the finale of this little series, and I basically recreated like shot for shot the montage from Rocky 4. Yes, I'll send it to you after. And it was like a little highlight of some of the stuff I had done up to that point, and then it was me shaving my head, kind of like I'm all right, I'm coming back, you know, after, because Hollow Wicked had convinced me, or at least gave me this pep talk to kind of basically kind of get back into the game. But yeah, I mean, that's just so that, and then I appreciate you guys bringing up the promo and stuff like this. That's always what I wanted to do, is just tell fun stories, have great matches paired with that. And you know, I've been just kind of been going through a lot over the last few months about like where my career's at, and what, you know, I still have goals to, I would say ultimately I do want to be on, like, I basically want to get to AEW, ROH. But I have to also accept that may never happen, just because circumstances or whatever. And if I'm going to continue to wrestle, I need to be happy with what I'm doing. And that's kind of part of the name change. It's just like, I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do it, kind of thing. I had been kind of operating under the, like, and again, this might be from the Matt Mikowski thing, where I was kind of trying to be what I thought people wanted me to be, if that makes sense. Just from a in-ring stamp, well, not necessarily in-ring, but like, I don't know. I just, I definitely, you know, I have my own, I cared a lot about what other people think, as a lot of people do. And of course, in this industry, that is essentially what it is all about, unfortunately. And this can be very detrimental to our mental health and things like that. So I've been trying to work on that a lot over the past few months, and honestly years. Just even since I came back, like when I came back, I had a great match with Marcus Mathers at American Rana Beyond Wrestling. And then I wrestled Alex Coughlin in one of his last matches at JCW. And these were like big, these had been announced, you know, I was like really training hard for this, especially like a guy like Alex Coughlin. That was probably the best I ever looked, like physically, because I know I needed to at least like not let this guy put me to shame, because he's a specimen. And after that, I kind of was like, oh man, like I'm like nowhere near where I thought maybe I would be when I came back. And just in terms of maybe like momentum or just notoriety, whatever you want to call it. And this kind of hit me kind of hard. And because I felt like before I had gotten hurt, you know, I had just been in Mexico wrestling Hechicero. I main evented BLP against Tom Lawler in my debut there. I can't remember if you were there for that one, Jeremy, but and I had a bunch of cool bookings lined up for WrestleMania that year, which I think was in San Diego or something. Anyway, and then it all kind of came crashing down, and so, you know, I was gearing up for this comeback, and yeah, I honestly, I've been pretty like just not in a good headspace from that like fall 2023 to about like the end of last year, the end of 2024 or so. And, you know, was just contemplating where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. And, you know, a lot of talks with mostly my wife, but, you know, my family and a lot of things. And just like, I don't know, kind of got the green light to just like, hey man, just go for it, you know? And, so, you know, that's what I'm doing. And I'm also just trying to do it kind of in my way. Again, I compare myself to a lot of people. I see a lot of people, you know, they're wrestling 3 times every weekend. They're going all over the place. As a, you know, a father of 2 young children and all this other stuff, I can't necessarily do that. But I still believe that I could potentially get a job in wrestling or get signed or whatever, regardless of that. You know, it's the year's 2025. You can see wrestling matches pretty much anywhere in the world. It's not so much. I know it's very important to still get around, get your name out there in front of live fans. That is very crucial. And I still want to do that. It's just, I might not be able to do it like, as hard as like Marcus Mathers, for example. I respect that kid so much. He's like the biggest workhorse in professional wrestling. But I'm just not gonna be able to match that type of work rate in terms of like matches and stuff like that. But he's certainly in a spot, I would maybe like to be one day. Independent wrestling champion, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I just, again, been doing a lot of soul searching when it comes to professional wrestling and all that.
I'm sure you've heard this quote before, but the comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
Quote, yeah. Yes. And that is something I try to tell myself as well. Like, you can't compare yourself to others because we all got different circumstances and we don't know what somebody else is going through. Obviously, not everyone knows what we are going through, but to try to relate it to your situation here is, especially when it comes to like kids and everything, like it's very easy for 20-year-old single guys go out there and just wrestle 15 times a week, and it's like, all right, well, I got kids at home, I can't quite do that. I'm the same way. I got multiple kids. It's like, all right, it's cool that you guys can do all that stuff. I got kids here to take care of. Like, I try to do what I can, but I try not to let that. It's not an excuse or anything. It's just like,
right,
there are more important things that you got to deal with, and you can't worry about what somebody else is doing because their circumstances are much different than yours. A question on top of that, but I'll let you go ahead first.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I've sort of, not that I ever put my wrestling over my family, but I've sort of like, I've just accepted that wrestling is going to be second, and then whatever my family needs is going to be number one. So those two things do kind of line up sometimes. It would be nice for my family if I had a career in wrestling. It would be some big changes we'd have to make, but those are things, again, I've talked to my wife about this. Those are things we're willing to do if it comes to that. Yeah, other than that, I just want to do what makes me happy in this business. Part of me too wants to, and I've been kind of brainstorming ways to go about this, but I want to be like a mental health advocate in professional wrestling. I just see there's so many folks that are just, it's hard. This is hard. It's hard. It's probably hard for you guys. It's hard for us. It's just, everything's tough, and just especially the way I don't want to get political or anything, but it's just tough. I don't know. There's a lot of stress, and if there's anything I could do to help with that, that would make me feel good about the remainder of my career, regardless of what happens in terms of me getting signed or winning, belts or whatever. If I can help some workers, if I can help some fans with some other things, outside of wrestling, I think that's going to be like my direction, in terms of just what I'd maybe like to do with whatever time I have left in professional wrestling. And I really don't know. There's no way to know how long that is. I mean, I would love to be around for a while. But things happen all the time. Something happened to me 3 years ago or whatever, and that could have been the end right there. But here I am now.
My question, you got a question, right? Yeah. Sorry.
So you mentioned like how people maybe expect you to wrestle. Like, did you feel that people sort of expected you to be like MMA type fighter kind of guys? Like, oh, okay, I got to do a lot of kicks, a lot of strikes, and submission, grappling kind of stuff, and you couldn't go outside of that?
Not necessarily. I maybe misspoke a little bit in terms of in ring. It was more like mannerisms and body, I'm a nerdy guy. I'm a fun guy. Like, I like to smile. I'm not necessarily out to hurt people. I guess that's more what I'm getting at. Where, this is a very physical thing, and I've been an MMA fighter, but it's about competition for me. It was never about like trying to intentionally, it's not about, it wasn't about hurting somebody like outside of sport, if that makes sense. You know, obviously things like combat sports are very, it's a very, I don't know a good word, but
I know what you're saying. Like the goal of this sport is like you're neutralizing an opponent. You have to fight the other person. Like someone's going to get hurt to some degree, but like you're not doing it to hurt someone. It's the sport of like who's the better athlete, basically.
Like basically, I'm not trying to injure them on purpose. I went into every fight with the mentality it's kill or be killed. Like you especially in MMA, like I feel like you kind of have to have some kind of that mentality a little bit, because that guy that's a trained basically killer on the other side of the ring, and now you're in this cage and it's time to go. You got to do what you've been training to do. But again, that was the sport of it and everything is what attracted me to it. I've always been kind of like I love like the jack of all trades type of thing. Like I love like the decathlon during the Olympics. That's a very appealing event to me. Like I love the idea of just being, I realize there's some tropes with that. Like, what is it? Like, I can't remember the quote, but it's like when you're good at everything, but you're not great at anything kind of thing.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah. Like, master of none or whatever. Yeah. You know, I realize there's some of those things, like I don't want to be mediocre at everything, but just this is what also attracted me to professional wrestling, because you have to be so good or great at so many different things if you really want to excel. And it's very similar to like mixed martial arts or a decathlon in that way, where you have to be good at the physical stuff, the talking and just performing, all the performative elements that goes into this. Professional wrestling is probably the most misunderstood art form on the planet. And I feel like a lot of times if people just say, oh, he's an MMA fighter, then I kind of have the shaved head and whatever, I look mean. Like, I feel like I'm misunderstood as well. Just like maybe sharks are misunderstood. They're not actually, more people die from cows than they do from sharks. Okay. Just so you guys know, I've been looking up facts. I got Matt facts about sharks coming out. Just be ready.
I like that. I like that analogy, though. I totally get what you're saying. On kind of the flip side of that, and this kind of ties into your most recent match, you have someone who is known like as a character and as a great worker and as somebody who's been handed down skills from other legendary workers, someone who's had a big hand in your development as well. Cheeseburger, you just wrestled them.
Yes.
And I know I just kind of wanted to know kind of your thoughts, I guess, on your most recent match, which I really enjoyed. Y'all can check that out on IWTV. And just kind of your history with him. And I didn't know if like kind of the rebrand all maybe went hand in hand with like that, you kind of maybe because of your relationship, like now was kind of a good time. Like you just had this match with Cheeseburger, y'all that history, he kind of gave him that endorsement, and it was kind of time for like your next chapter.
I would say that lines up. That wasn't necessarily my exact thought. I kind of wanted to do this. I took a break from about December to January. I didn't do anything. It was basically we'll call it a mental health break. I was an extra at AEW at the end of December, and that was a fun experience. But I didn't wrestle. I did like a student show in the mid-December, and then my last match before that was like the David or the giant Georgian Olympic wrestler at Bloodsport.
Oh, Maz the Bosch Valley or whatever. Yeah. He's only had the one match.
Very nice man. Very nice man.
Yeah. Well, you're the only person he's done any pro wrestling against.
Yes, I was his first match, so good for him. And yeah. So, but anyway, so I basically told myself I'm going to take a break till like March. I think I said just to recharge the batteries a little bit. I had gained some weight. I needed to kind of shed some pounds and a bunch of stuff. And I think somebody hit me up about a booking in February 22nd in Pittsburgh, IWC. And I was like, you know what, let's just do that. We'll start there. So I wrestled Spencer Slade February 22nd, and then a bunch of stuff. And then that led up to this match against Cheeseburger, which I was ecstatic about, to be able to wrestle one of my coaches, somebody that's done. He just deserves so much more credit than he gets. I mean, he gets some love every now and then. He'll show up at like, he'll be like on a AEW, ROH as a, whatever, and he gets a lot of love every time. I think people just, maybe randos just like his name and all that, right? It's very fun, but he's like a, I don't want to say hidden gem, but he's a shining star in the indie wrestling or professional wrestling landscape. Such a nice person, such a generous person. He took a group of us that were kind of like whatever, like lost sheep or whatever you want to call us, and brought us in when the Wrestle Factory closed, and a lot of us needed a place to go. Cheeseburger was there with open arms, and he's a phenomenal trainer. He's a phenomenal wrestler. That was actually one of my favorite matches I ever had a couple days ago. So I was super happy about that. And we got to tell a great story, and just kind of, I came up short in that title match. I wanted that belt, but anyway, Cheeseburger. I made a reference to the movie The Matrix. I feel like I'm old making these movie references, but again,
right there with you, dude.
Such a great movie. I can't believe these kids these days, haven't seen these good movies. I made a Morpheus and Neo reference, and I think Morpheus ended up beating Neo that first time they fought, but Neo did end up becoming the one. So I just want to keep Cheeseburger on his toes, if you know what I mean. I'm actually wrestling on a team with him this weekend. If it's okay if I talk about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
sure.
So this is very important to me too. I really appreciate you guys having me on here and chat about this stuff. But so Power Pro Lucha, new promotion in Philadelphia. The name of the show is Regeneration. I guess, I haven't talked to them specifically, but it's essentially, it's going to be very Chikara-esque. It's the, in terms of its storytelling, the characters, things like that. So that's something that I feel has been missing from professional wrestling since 2021 or whatever it was. And, I think these guys are trying to bring it back a little bit. It's the Cyberhawks are kind of running the show. I don't know if that's public, sorry, but it's not anybody. It's workers from the old company. There's nobody else in terms of, I don't know if anybody's curious or whatever.
Sure.
It's all kind of fresh stuff with, and then you can check out the roster for the next show on their socials. But yeah, so I'm in a 5-on-5. I think they're calling it the Lucha Armada Elimination Tag. I'm actually on a team with Cheeseburger this weekend. Me, Gummy Boar, that's Erica Lee, and and Boar. I don't know if he still calls himself the Proletariat Boar of Moldova, but that used to be his name.
Awesome.
And who's our last partner? Oh, Weber Hatfield.
Oh, okay.
Who won the tournament? The Wrestle Cup at So I'm on the good guy side this weekend, and I'm going up against Hollow Wicked, Mantis, Frightmare, and then a reconstituted Fist, as Hollow Wicked called it. Akuma, Gran Akuma. I don't know if you remember him. That's a throwback name. And then Travis Huckabee, who is also a member of Fist at one point. So I believe that's the main event for this weekend's Power Pro Lucha show. There's lots of other great matches on the show. The Colony will be there. The sea creatures. We were just talking about them. They're going to be there. The creatures of the deep. So yeah. Anyway, it should be fun. It's at Drexel University in Philadelphia, and I'm super stoked about it. I love shows that are only like half hour away. IWTV 6 o'clock. IWTV 6 o'clock. It's sold out, but follow their socials for info on upcoming events. So yeah.
Hell yeah, another show that was on IWTV. It's funny because you gloss past everything you've done, since February. One thing that really stands out to me, also once again available on IWTV, was on Beyond Wrestling's RSP's Death Day. You had a Thumbtack kick pads match against TJ Crawford. And so I guess kind of your thoughts on being on a show, because like you see the name of the show alone, it's like this is a Ricky Shane Page branded event that is going to be death match. Like you got to do something different to stand out on a show like this. I did not know before the match started that you guys weren't going to have the thumbtacks already on your kick pads. Like you had to put them on with your hands, and they were getting all stuck in your hands and stuff. You guys are psychos. What was the experience like doing that match against TJ Crawford? Of course, you came up on the short end of that one. You got kicked in the nuts with, thumbtacks attached. So, I mean, what are you going to do? But
Exactly.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the concept, though. I thought it was a good match that stood out on a show that was full of, crazy stuff.
Yeah, thank you for the question and for the comments, Steven. I mean, TJ is amazing. It was the idea that we were going to load the kick pads ourselves during the match was a unique concept, and I was down. It didn't quite go the way we wanted. Here's what happened. The tackiness, that double-sided tape on the kick pads, super tacky, like super tacky. Okay. And it was put on a few hours before the show. By the time the show rolled around, like just from dust and just stuff in the arena, it had all adhered to those kick pads. And so the tacks weren't quite getting on. Like we tested it, and I grabbed a handful of tacks and slapped them on there, and they basically all just stuck. It was going to be pretty rough. It wasn't as rough, but I think it's still the match I did still really enjoy. I wasn't bleeding everywhere or anything, which I was down for because that's what I signed up to do. But unfortunately for maybe the fans in the arena, that didn't quite happen. But we were still, I had a couple tacks sticking out here and there. It's not like it was a pillow fight by any means. But we were able to kind of work the gimmick of having the bucket of tacks kind of available to reload the kick pads. Again, conceptually, it was a neat idea. The execution wasn't super great, but hey, like you said, we tried something new. We did something different on a deathmatch show. I was down to kind of give it a rip, which maybe in the past I would be really nervous about doing. But again, I'm not as worried about what people think anymore. We tried. It didn't go super great, and we learned from it. So that's the match itself, though. I really enjoyed. TJ's a phenomenal worker. I thought it was a great match. But yeah, the whole tack gimmick maybe didn't quite go. I was told it looked really cool on the stream. We were kicking each other, and tacks were going flying and stuff.
Yeah.
So stuff was happening, it just wasn't like this super death blood thing that maybe some of those ICW fans there wanted. I was getting a little bit of shit talk, like, what the fuck are you guys doing or whatever.
Bunch of pussies.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, whatever, man, you come in here. I'll hit you with this kendo stick, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, you did plenty. I mean, like you were trying to do like give him like a swirly in the bucket of tacks at one point.
Yeah, we were getting after it, man. I didn't really get much like shitty critiques from it or anything. I think people enjoyed it for the most part. I would have preferred that there would have been more tacks on our kick pads, just to kind of live up to a little bit of like what happened. Like I know Schlack, and then it was some wild stuff on that show. But again, like you said, I always like to try to stand out a little bit, and if I can, if in any kind of way, and I felt that was a way to make the match feel different amongst this show that was kind of a death match show or whatever you want to call it.
And next time, to put the tape on just a few minutes before the match instead of hours before.
I just thought they were preloaded and then
you don't line up with them in your hands so much.
Yeah, but I liked that portion of it because like when I watched it, that's what I thought it was going to be. It was going to be like there were already going to be thumbtacks on your kick pads. I like that you kind of, and you got started with the kendo sticks and everything, but you kind of had to neutralize them a little bit, and then it's like, all right, now we can put the tacks on, and now we can start kicking. I actually like that aspect of the match.
That's cool. I mean, that's kind of what we were going for. Again, as I've said, again, I'm breaking kayfabe a little bit or whatever, but like I just want to tell unique stories, and sometimes we're thrown into these matches where it's like, hey, I don't necessarily want to have these crazy spot fests, or like I'm down to have bangers and stuff. Like that's what I go out there to do. But I want to tell a unique story along the across the whole like length of the show, and that's typically always my goal. It's not always possible just because of circumstances or whatever it might be. Like I might not have ever met the person I'm working, and maybe I don't get to talk with them a whole lot, or who knows, maybe the promoter wants something specific and we get to stick with that. So those are things that we deal with as wrestlers. And anytime I do get to flex my creative muscles as much as I can, I love doing that.
One follow-up on the tax specifically, like working with thumbtacks, because this is what terrifies me as a viewer, and what something that would like completely freak me out if I was in the ring is just the loose tacks, like not knowing where they are in the ring. Because I'd imagine you'd rather fall on a group of them than like just one or two and like really feel it. Like for instance, towards the end of the match, you did essentially like a tornado kick into the corner.
Yeah.
And there was like loose tacks by where your head landed. I don't think you landed on any, but I was like, oh, that was did you?
No, but that's funny you're telling me this, because that's funny you noticed it on the stream or something, like, oh man, his head almost hit. Like I didn't actually have any clue of that, but that is absolutely, like, I've done some, like when I wrestled Danny Garcia a couple years ago at ICW, we were in the chains or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think the canvas had been used like the night before, and there's just like shards of glass everywhere, and we're like grappling around in this glass and stuff. And so basically exactly what you're saying. You have to be cognizant of hey, look, there's gonna, especially the way we did it with the hand loading, and they kind of just were flying everywhere. So there's just tacks everywhere. Like you got to be careful. Like it's like, all right, I'm not going to be grappling here. This is, or if I do, be ready.
Gotcha. Oh man, it freaked me out. But I'm glad that you're. I'm glad
a lot. A lot. Adrenaline is a hell of a thing. Let's just say that. That's really what it was. And again, I'll be honest. I was asking people because I had never done tax before, and I was like, "So how bad is this gonna suck?" And people were like, "It sucks." And and I was like, "Thanks." And then honestly, it wasn't too bad. But like I said, I'm down. TJ kicked me in the nuts with a kick pad. I'm down to do. I told him. I said I'm down to do a rematch. We can, we'll preload them. We'll come out with them already on there, and we can do it again. So that's out in the universe now.
I've got one more random question that it's wrestling related, but just like from last year, 2024, you were a part of one of my favorite tournaments of every year is the SCI, the Scenic City Invitational Tournament, and you made it all the way to the finals in that tournament. Is that something that like you would want another shot in that tournament if the opportunity came up, or like kind of what are your thoughts on like the Southeast independent scene?
I mean, I've heard about SCI for forever. So that was a big honor for me to just be invited to that. I have a fairly good relationship with Matt Griffin, the promoter from Action. I think he kind of found me during COVID, during like a tape study thing. It was like a Zoom call where we were doing match breakdowns of our own matches, and then they would do critiques. Like Matt was there, and I think Drew Cordero was on this call from Beyond, and we were watching one of these matches, and then Matt kind of started talking to me after that. He's like, "Hey, I liked your stuff, blah blah blah," and then that's where he started booking me a little bit, like for WrestleMania against Adam Priest, and when it was in Florida, and then anytime they come up this way, the Action Dean show, when against Erez, and then after that was it before that, I guess. I can't remember the timeline, but SCI, well, he was part of that too. So I mean, I absolutely would love an opportunity to get back into SCI, getting so close like that, and then coming up kind of empty handed, it's never fun.
Yeah, I wanted to just ask that because I live in Atlanta, so I'm always tapped in on like that Action, SCI, TWE, New South, kind of like all that stuff. And I see you there like sporadically. I'd like to see you in the Southeast more often, just as a fan. So
cool. Yeah, I mean, you know, I have a great relationship with Action. You know, TWE. That I know a lot of, again, just from being around for a couple years now. I know a lot of those guys, like Jaden Newman. I've wrestled him. Kind of a lot of the people. And then again, there's a lot of new younger guys. Darian is amazing. I'd love to wrestle him again.
Yeah. Have you seen Tim Bosby yet?
I haven't.
He's currently the Action World Champion. He's like brand new.
Okay.
And Dylan Hales is managing him on screen, which has been pretty interesting. They're using him kind of like a young Brock. Like he's going out and just like amateur. He was the reason I think that you guys would match up well is he's a state champion amateur wrestler out of high school who went straight from that into what he's doing now in indie wrestling. So nice. Like your style versus his style, I think would be very, very interesting. So.
I thought of something real quick. I know we're probably out of time here soon, but
I got two more questions. So
okay, all right, cool. I'm good. I got time. I realized, Jeremy, I maybe kind of skirted around. I wanted to say like I'm going way back now, so I apologize. But you mentioned comparisons or people my expectations, and so what I started. I debuted and like I guess basically I would say Matt Riddle was a pretty big deal when I kind of started. Mm-hmm. Like, and it was known that he was he was on the Indies for 2 years and then he was gone. And so I'd be lying if I said I hadn't compared myself to him a little bit. And you know, he's a fucking stallion. You know, he looks like a brick shit house. I don't necessarily have that same kind of look, but you know, I've styled. So, and then other, I guess we'll say MMA style workers, I've always kind of compared myself to. I think not in like a bad way, but you know, I've maybe styled myself after a lot of like Japanese work, like Mako Satomura, Minoru Tanaka is like my goat. That's a dream match for me. I believe he still wrestles. I'm trying to put that out into the universe. Josh Barnett. But yeah, I mean, so I felt like sometimes I just to be honest, I kind of felt like I was maybe like dollar store Matt Riddle or something, you know, if I was being super critical of myself. And I just didn't like want to be that, you know. I kind of, so not that anyone's ever really said that, but it's just like,
bro, for whatever it's worth, man, like I think you fucking rule. Like every time I watch you wrestle, like the people I'm around, I'm always like, this is like one of my dudes, because like what you do, it comes across so authentic. Like, because I know your history. So like, you know, so I just for what it's worth, man, you don't come across as dollar store, right? You come across as fucking badass, dude. Like you're one of my favorite pro wrestlers in the world.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I know. So I work in a way that's like, it's very more like maybe friendly to a more Japanese crowd, you know? So because Riddle was good at working a more like, we'll say Fed style or whatever. At least from what I could tell, you know, and he was maybe trained that way to a degree, like at the Monster Factory and blah, 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 blah. You know, where I kind of, I wanted to do like more shoot stuff, even in regular matches. Cause I saw, we maybe have even chatted about this, but like, just like Jonathan Gresham, oh geez, I'm blanking on the, guy from England that
Zack Sabre Jr.
Yes.
I was going old school. I was like Doug Williams, Nigel McGuinness.
I mean those guys too. But
William Regal.
They were doing a lot of jujitsu. I felt like a lot of the transitions and things they were doing. I'm like, I know exactly what that is, and I don't know if they learned it from, you know, they might have just got it from wherever. But so those guys were a big inspiration to me as well when I was coming up. But yeah, Jeremy, you said you had some questions, I think.
Yeah, I had one wrestling, one non-wrestling. I'll start with the wrestling. Any WrestleMania plans?
Not right now. So I didn't really like pound the phones or anything. I didn't really put feelers out. I'm open for a call. There may be something in the works. Actually, I just got a message today. I can't guarantee anything though. But so no, right now, no.
I asked largely because, Bloodsport, and I always see you at Bloodsport when I saw they're starting to finally announce matches, and I'm like, where's Mikowski? Like,
Yeah,
what are
I
we doing?
appreciate you saying that.
Like, what are we doing? Where's
Do you want to
Mikowski
call someone
on
out? Do you want to call someone out for Bloodsport?
Feel like I have a good relationship with Josh. I feel like I have a good relationship with Brett, Lauderdale. Again, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've said this a few times. I feel like the show is better with me on it 100%. However, and I'm just trying to be realistic a little bit. I maybe don't sell tickets right now, to a degree. Like, and here's the other thing. This show in particular, doesn't even have an indie guy on it.
Yeah, it is. It is very.
It's like all like Stardom, WWE. It's really weird.
Well, to your point, like you wrestled Julius Creed a couple of Bloodsports ago.
Yeah.
So like you were in that spot against a WWE guy.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's value in that. I mean, like you're saying you don't know.
But I see.
I guess what I'm saying is I'm not a marquee name necessarily. Maybe to casuals, or the I don't know. That's me being self-critical a little bit. I mean, I'm trying to build my name and become a draw and be a guy that people want to pay tickets and see. And in some cases I am. It's just compared to pretty much everyone else on the show, they have a bigger following than me. It's either WWE people or Stardom or just, I don't quite have the name power yet. And I'm working on it and I want to get there. I wanted to work my way up the Bloodsport card since I started there in 2019. And I kind of just feel like I'm hitting this weird like wall a little bit. But again, a lot of things happened. Some stuff happened like the last second, like the Charlie Dempsey thing happened at the last second. I was supposed to wrestle Akira that day. It got switched last second, so that fell into my lap. I think that makes me the first guy to ever wrestle a WWE person outside of WW or an indie guy. I think I'm going to take that for a second and just run with it.
We'll take credit for that. We'll take credit for that.
Yeah. Because Baszler was on that show too, but she wrestled later. And so I think I was the first indie guy to wrestle a contracted WWE person on an independent show. I'm just gonna keep that and hold it here.
Yeah.
But then Creed and that was an experience. We'll call it that. And
they owe you, dude. You're out there making other people look great. Listen, you have good opponents. It's not all one-way street, but like, dude, you belong in the Bloodsport events. Like you fit like a glove in these things.
I know. I in my opinion, I should be on every show. I mean, that's my I don't know why I'm not.
If you want to call someone out, dude, we will totally I'll bother people about it.
Do it, because that's what's gonna take. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna be honest, but like I have to market myself more. I have to network maybe a little harder, that kind of stuff. I have to just bother promoters. I don't bug people. I don't bother people. I didn't message. I don't know how much of this I should be saying, but I don't think it matters. Yeah. If I end up getting an opportunity to go out to Vegas, hey, I'll let them know, hey, I'm going to be there. If you guys need somebody, I'll be there. I'll tell them I want to be on the Europe, the one in England or what it is in September, I believe, the fall.
Yeah.
Again, this is all part of this maybe slight transition for me and just getting a little bit more maybe aggressive about trying to get high profile bookings and that kind of thing. Because all of these things end up being important. For the most part, I've just let things come to me and I'm not trying to say that to be fucking arrogant or anything, but I just, I put out highlight videos and I did that. And that like when I first started, and I think that's what got the ball rolling. And like I started getting booking at Beyond and then the Bloodsport show in 2019, people, I had networked. I had gone with my trainer who was wrestling at GCW at the time. I met Brett and all that stuff. So that's how this, it's like any other job, it's who you know and what you do. And so I just need to kind of do that stuff a little bit more, maybe, in addition to just continuing to grow my following and become like a bigger name on the independents, and trying to have fun with it all at the same time. So
So I will say, knowing you as much as I do know you, I don't think it would ever be a bother to people, because you're not the type of person who is just going to send 100 messages in a minute and be like, hey, what's up? Like, but you also got to ask. And I tell this to myself all the time when we book guests for this show. Jensen does all the legwork for this show when it comes to booking guests. I do a lot of the legwork for the other show when it comes to booking guests. And the thing I always tell myself is like, it's not going to hurt to ask. The worst thing they're going to say is no. And okay, we still got a show to do.
Yeah.
But if we don't ask them to jump on the show, like when I messaged you after Bloodsport in Philly, like, hey, can you come on? Like if you said no, would have been completely understandable. Wouldn't have thought a second different or anything different about you. But it's like, hey, you came on. It's like, hey, this is cool. We're talking to Mikowski a day after Bloodsport. Like, that's a cool thing for our show. So like, you sometimes just got to ask. And the worst thing they're going to say is no. And you're in the same spot that you were before. Or they're going to say yes. And then you got a booking out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm kind of turning a new leaf. There was a time where maybe I didn't want to have bookings and I just would take the ones that would come to me and then kind of force myself to. I mean, again, we could maybe have another conversation another day about some stuff, but like, again, I'm not upset. I don't necessarily have the FOMO, because I would get that a lot, all the time. Like, why am I not on this show? Why? What? And again, I don't really fucking ask, but like, maybe be with companies I have experience with, or that I've worked for, and then they don't contact me when they're close or whatever. I don't know. They have their own plan in their head, but yeah, I need to maybe just be a little bit more aggressive about trying to get bookings. Yeah, well, I mean, we could probably talk about this kind of stuff till the cows come home to a degree, but like, because it's a crazy world out there.
Just message Barnett now and be like, what's John Cena doing? He ain't doing anything.
I want something wild. Like I know, Steve, we talked about it a little bit, but like, put Phil in there. Just give me Phil. Like, just let's do it. Come on. Like, give me a break. Like, just make it a. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Who's Louis?
Yeah.
Louis a regular. Louis a good.
He's watching the show live.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, give me Big Phil and let's do this, man. Like, yeah.
This isn't for Wanderlei Silva.
And then I'm just gonna ruin my career and just completely shoot on him and just go home and just go out like that. That would be epic.
Oh,
you might make some friends in some companies.
If he sees this, he's gonna be so pissed. Who's this nobody?
Oh
Brett,
my gosh!
I'm not.
Jeremy, get the articles ready.
Okay, I just want to wrestle. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
My non-wrestling question. We'll get you out of here on this. What is your shirt?
What's that?
What is your shirt?
Okay, so this is an awesome shirt. I got this at Chris Hero's mixtape.
Okay.
It's the whole roster that was on the show.
It looks sweet. I was like, I really like it, cool. And so I was wondering what it was.
Yeah,
I figured it was a wrestling
shirt. You got the West Coast Pro logo on there. That's very cool.
There's like Wicked. Oh, there I am. Actually, that's me right there. And then that's Jigsaw, and that's Wicked. I teamed with them at West Coast Pro during this show. That's Brian Keith. Lee Moriarty was on this show, but yeah, it's got everybody's name on the back and stuff.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's a great shirt. It's a great shirt. And then Chris is up at the top. So yeah, that's the shirt.
Well,
Thanks for asking. I kind of wore it on purpose.
Okay, I mean, obviously you've been on the show, and I've been staring at it the whole time, just seeing like, wait, like you could tell it's a very like cool kind of design, like very mixed.
He had an artist do everybody, and we could like pay this artist to get like the sticker of your
Oh, nice.
thing. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's very cool shirt. So everybody go. Maybe it's in the West Coast Pro Shop. I don't know if it was an event only type of thing, but it's a pretty sweet shirt.
I'm not actually sure. I'm not sure.
Matt, we appreciate you joining us. Oh, go ahead, Jensen.
Yeah, no, this ties in with kind of wrapping up because with kind of the rebrand stuff, you said you were going to be doing like new merchandise and stuff. So definitely let people know where to find that, and you can mark me down for a new T-shirt as well or something. Can
I ask you guys? So like I was thinking this like basically like almost like a jiu-jitsu logo, but it's like a Mako shark. And he's just like kind of looking all
a street shark looking.
Yes, street sharks.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I said to the artist. I was like, "Have you ever seen Street Sharks?"
Yeah. See, we're on the same age, man. We get it.
Yeah, I love it. All right, I'm gonna run with this because I was a little. I don't know. Again, I'm just worried about what other people think a little bit, but like,
just make sure it doesn't look too much like the Big Boom.
I'll look into that.
Because they'd be doing the booms with the street.
Right now, I'm at what is it? It's still Matt Makowski. It's a Big Cartel. So it's the link is on my Twitter, which is at the Matt Mako now. So you can find a link to my Big Cartel there. And then I'm at Instagram at Matt Mako, I believe. I think that was available. Like I changed that a couple weeks ago to make sure.
It's already been changed on Cage Bash, I noticed.
Yeah.
Current
Did it?
Matt Mako.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who does that stuff? Who does
they're
that?
quick.
They're fast.
It's so awesome. Wrestling fans are the best.
Yes. Thanks again for joining us, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man.
Yeah, anytime, please.
Hit me up if you ever need anything. You know how to reach me.
You've said that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So.
Yeah, likewise. Happy to help. And I do when you get the Street Shark inspired gear or merch, I will absolutely.
I think I'm gonna get foam hats too to give to kids, like a fin.
Okay.
Like I was always into Bret Hart and the glasses. Like Bret Hart's my favorite wrestler. Like I hope to meet him one day. But I was always into how he gave glasses to kids, and so whenever I'm a good guy, I'd maybe like to do something like that. Yeah, we'll see.
That'll get over. With the kids. Kids love that stuff.
That's what I'm thinking, Jeremy.
Yeah, kids love that stuff, man.
Mako's more marketable. It's easier to chant. Mako sucks. Mako sucks. It's just way easier. It's way easier.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, appreciate you guys.
Thanks, you, Matt.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Take care.